Welcome to Nerd Pod. I'm Jacob Brown, joined here with Zack Weinberger. For us, this pod's going to be very deja vu because we recorded our Snyder Cut review and our first episode review of Falcon. And because my Mac has no space on it, it's pretty pathetic. I was deleting stuff and happened to delete the Nerd Pod. So it was all edited. It was done. And but now it's part two. But we like talking about this movie anyways. And honestly, now that we're kind of removed, maybe we'll be less emotional about it. That always seems to happen with me, at least, where, you know, like I watched episode 9 of Star Wars, loved it when I watched it. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, you know what? You know, it's kind of shitty. So just happens with me. So, Zack, I know this is your thing, Snyder Cut. You waited so long for it. And first of all, pimp out your article first this time so that we don't wait till the end and then go over your review of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you heard me talk about this before in previous pods, or if you listened to my other stuff, or follow me on Twitter, obviously, Right for the University Press has been there for a couple of years now. You know, I was editor in chief there, I was sports editor, staff writer right now, and we do these reviews. And I wrote a review for Zack Snyder's Justice League for the newsletter. And actually, tomorrow, if depending on when this pod actually comes out, the full version of that review is coming out for Zack Snyder's Justice League. My review of it. So. And obviously, me and my friends made a little bit of a joke saying, like, you know, how the newsletter version was like the shortened version, and this one is like my Weinberger cut of the review. So, release the Weinberger cut is being released. So check that out. They'll be up tomorrow. But if you want to check out the newsletter version, it's on the UP Twitter page. You can find it there. But I'm not going to spoil what I say because we're going to talk about it right now. Unless you want me to start right now, I'll start.
No, go ahead.
So, I mean, I'll kind of start off this the way I started off my review. You know, when I went into the theater November 17th, 2017, I also saw it a week early. I saw the studio version of Justice League in the theaters, and I'll say it definitely left a distinct memory in my head, and usually that's in good connotation, but it wasn't. I was left very disappointed. And it was kind of different, obviously. That film was just very messy in a 1 hour, 59-minute runtime, forced jokes. And I'm just like, this is weird. And obviously the opening scene of seeing Henry Cavill and his face being just absolutely butchered was an interesting start to a film that I'm not even sure. Like, I hate to talk about the film more, but like the fact that is the first scene in your film that people are first watching it and they're seeing that face, that's the worst shot of Henry Cavill's face in the whole movie. I mean, we moved past it. After seeing that movie and feeling just so disappointed, obviously I part of the release of Snyder Cut movement. We're finally here after 3 long years. The journey's been long, and now we have it. And listen, you know, you kind of say like the emotion maybe has passed already. I will say the emotion has passed. However, the film's incredible. It's my favorite DC movie ever. It's my favorite superhero movie of all time. Probably we'll talk about how it compares to the other DC movies and even some of Marvel movies, which we'll talk about in a bit. But listen, this is a 4-hour runtime. It's a long movie, but it really passes by like it's actually 2 hours, while the other version felt very long. And again, just the one thing that is so striking about this movie compared to the 2-hour version is the character development. You know, a lot of the characters fell thrown in. A lot of the characters did not have complete story arcs like Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman. And we were just so rushed with Aquaman, the Flash, and especially Cyborg. In this film, in this version of the movie, we see so much more of these characters. You know, and pretty much that 2-hour version we saw in the theater three or 4 years ago, it pretty much consolidated the concern that people had were like, oh, you needed solo movies, kind of like how Marvel did it. But really, Zack Snyder didn't, you know, he used these characters in such a great way to introduce them. And then afterwards, you're thinking, okay, now I want more. Because after that 2-hour version, you're just like, I'm not really into this. But really, in a 4-hour runtime, that has the benefit of really structuring the story out very well, that I saw. And to me, again, it's just a really good movie, really in between it. But for a DC fan, I mean, how can you not like this? This is the Justice League movie that I've been waiting for ever since I saw BVS. I you know, especially me and my dad, we were hoping for getting a really good Justice League movie. In 2017, we didn't get that, and this time around, we were just so blown away. We're blown away by it. And again, Zack Snyder, he did it again. He's truly a visionary, and really hasn't missed in the comic book movie department from what I've seen. And I think he's made his best film yet. So I mean, I'll talk about it more, but that's just kind of my opening thoughts. So um, it's great. It was awesome. It was everything that I hoped it would be. It honestly almost exceeded my expectations after I waited so long for it. It's that damn good.
No, it really was, and it executed on everything that we wanted it to execute on. There was no part of it that, the main argument from other people that, the anti Snyder Cut people, they were like, oh, it's going to be the same movie. It really wasn't at all. And I tell people that specifically, normies that really don't know much about it. I work at the movie theater, and I ask a bunch of my coworkers, I'm like, hey, have you seen Zack Snyder's Justice League? They were like, what's that? And that tells you, by the way, how bad the marketing was for Warner Brothers, that, it's just not a widely, and it still did the numbers. I don't know if you saw the numbers. It still did numbers, even though it was not widely marketed, which is incredible. I'm diverting for a second, but I think Warner Brothers were actually the ones who advertised that Wonder Woman beat Zack Snyder's Justice League. Wonder Woman came out on Christmas. They stuffed this on a Thursday when people are going to work, when yada, yada, yada. And it still almost beat Wonder Woman on day one. So with bad marketing, all that, it's ridiculous. But, I tell people, go watch this movie, and they're like, oh, is it? And I try to explain, oh, it's a different director. They changed all these scenes. They're like, isn't it just going to be the same movie? I'm like, no, there's some scenes, Superman coming back, some of that are, similar, but they're still different in a lot of ways because they're set up differently. So from that standpoint, that point's moot. It's a completely different movie. The character arcs are different. First of all, there's no Cyborg in the first one. There's Cyborg in this one heavily, and he did a fantastic job. Ray Fisher was fantastic. It's a crime that he probably won't be in another DC movie ever. He was supposed to be in The Flash, and due to complications with Joss Whedon, it's been widely publicized. He's not happy with Warner Brothers. He won't do anything basically without Zack Snyder, I don't think. It looks like that is the case right now, at least. Maybe over time they try to mend the relationship, because he's a vital character, and I hope he's back. But he did a fantastic job. His story was great. Silas Stone actually had a point of being in the movie, which, he was just a side, not even a side character. Some people didn't even know who he was. They didn't even try to develop the character. So from that standpoint, the movie was a lot better. The sacrifice that Silas made, tracking the mother box, it was a meaningful death. It was a meaningful moment. And I think that's the main difference. And, I'm kind of echoing a film review from a YouTuber. His name is Phil Mento. I think you might be familiar with him, Zach. He does a bunch of movie reviews, very in-depth. He probably is a film major or something like that. He's really good at it. And he went side by side with what he hated about Justice League and what he liked about the new one with Zack Snyder's Justice League. He said in the first one, things would just happen with no emotional impact. Like, it was just fight scene, funny joke, fight scene, funny joke, movie over. And there was just no meaning behind it. But in this movie, everything had an emotional context. There was meaning behind everything that happened. And that's the main difference. That's what makes movies good, is you have emotional context, character development, and all that makes it important. So I think Momoa was way better. He was more serious. This was his best performance as Aquaman, period. I've been vocal about not liking the first Aquaman movie because he was terrible. Not him specifically, but the movie was terrible. He was great in this. He was more serious. He had more serious intentions. Barry Allen, I'm on the fence. I think he was too goofy at times. And he didn't execute funny, but in serious moments, he was fantastic. I liked him a lot. Cavill got much more screen time, as he should have. But honestly, I left that movie being like, I wanted more, because you come from Man of Steel and BVS, where it's heavy Superman, and then you only get a little bit. But now knowing that Cavill's probably not coming back, it's like, damn, I wish I would have gotten just a little bit more with him. But it's good to be appreciative. Affleck was good. He's not the best Batman, in retrospect, now that I've had time to kind of, okay, yeah. I like Christian Bale just a little bit better, but Affleck, I like him. It's just not there for me. But here, some of my criticisms of the movie, I said last time that we did this, some of the slow-mos was just a little bit too much. You even said last time, Zach, every time Wonder Woman did something, it was the theme song.
It wasn't even the theme song that was bothering me, because obviously the theme song from the BVS when she kind of first got introduced was great.
Yeah,
Obviously that score with Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL, which by the way, Junkie XL's score in this is absolutely
fantastic.
fantastic.
That my favorite part of the movie.
It was great. Listen, a score is entirely important to me, especially in a superhero movie. And even though Hans Zimmer wasn't part of this, Junkie XL is the perfect person besides Hans Zimmer to do it, and he did a fantastic job. Obviously, in moments in film, like one of my favorite tracks on it is "At the Speed of Force" with that flash scene, which we'll talk about in a bit, and when Superman
My
comes back.
favorite's the opening.
The opening's good. I mean, the
Yeah.
Justice League, and that's the thing too. I want to mention is because obviously when I look at a superhero film, I always pay attention to the score as well. And Danny Elfman, who's a classical composer with superhero films, he did the Batman theme, and he's done a lot of stuff. His score is awful in 2017's version, because he tries to go back to the classic John Williams and stuff like that, and it's just so try hard and just so cringe. But really, we know Superman's theme song is what Hans Zimmer did in Man of Steel. And one of my favorite moments, and this is where I get the most goosebumps and stuff like that, is when Superman came back to fight. Now, but not the revival scene, when he came back, and Junkie XL plays the flight theme song for Man of Steel. I was just like, I couldn't control myself. It was that great, and the way he did with the music was great. However, like you said, I mean, and again, I have my new criticisms that don't like say that don't make the movie bad. One of those criticisms, every time Wonder Woman does something, you hear this battle cry. Oh, he just the battle cry is just so, it's annoying at times. Like the first couple times, it's fine, but after that, I'm just like, okay, you can calm down with this. Like every time she like, there's a funny video out there where it's like, Wonder Woman like just taking a shit, and then the music plays. Like they'll do anything when she does that. But going off your point, just real quick about kind of the individual performances, is that they're all better. I mean, you get more of Alfred. Jeremy Irons as Alfred was completely thrown out. He just said a couple lines, and that's about it. We see of that Batman Alfred relationship so much more in this movie. And again, like I know we have different kind of theories on that, kind of different opinions, but to me, Ben Affleck in this movie proves that he is the best Batman. Again, personally for me, in my opinion. And again, I just love that character arc that was just set up in BVS that people did not give a chance. And I saw a tweet the other day that people said like, Zack Snyder Justice League is more hopeful. Why couldn't he do this from the beginning? It's like you just have to be patient with these. Like people cannot handle a character arc going through a couple movies. Obviously, his world was defeated in BVS. It's brutal. He was more of a brutal Batman because the world did not show him that it could be hopeful, but Superman did. And again, I mentioned this in the last time we did this review. One of my favorite lines in the whole movie, and it's only 3 words, is when he tells Alfred that he knows that Superman is coming back. And he says, "How are you so sure, Master Wayne?" And he says, "Faith, Alfred, faith," because he acts on faith rather than just pessimistic point of views that he used to. It's just great stuff, and it's complex, and I love it. The Flash, I will say about this, I found the humor, because again, there's humor in this movie, which is what surprises me so much, that why the studio decided to cut so much of this, because there's actually some the humor moments in here dealing with the Flash and Aquaman that to me feel more organic than what Whedon did. Instead of hearing Martha called Lois Lane the thirstiest reporter or something like that,
ridiculous.
and then having. And again, just the perverted shots are done. You don't see Flash falling on Wonder Woman's breast. You don't see that in this movie. You don't see just a random ass shot of Gal Gadot. I'm not complaining. All I'm saying is that it's perverted. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's not. You don't need that. And Zack Snyder, obviously, he doesn't do that because he's not a creep like Joss Whedon is.
Whoa! Shots fired.
Oh, like that's surprising. Like everybody's been calling Joss Whedon at this point. Not even Ray Fisher, just people from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer set, stuff like that. But besides that, I mean, again, I'm getting kind of rid of all the criticism I had just real quick, because obviously, I mean, the Wonder Woman score part was great. You mentioned this last time, and you said it first, and I definitely agree with it. Is that there's still some CGI moments in the film that are very just not that great. It's noticeable, the CGI. And you have to wonder, maybe it's because, Zack Snyder did this on the fly. He had to edit it. He didn't really get that much backing with this. I mean, he got millions of dollars, but still the CGI at some points is very noticeable. And And then, but I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, you definitely could have cut some scenes. It is a 4-hour movie. So there's some scenes in there that was like, you don't really need this scene. It's great. I'm watching it. You don't really need it. Some scenes could have been cut shorter, but I mean, other than that, I just think that this film is a perfect Justice League movie, and we'll talk about it more. But as a DC fan, this is exactly what I wanted in a Justice League movie. And again, the constant question that I asked, and everybody should ask throughout this movie, is like, why did they cut that? It's just so much better than what we got in 2017.
Yeah, no, I mean, you bring up every point, and it begs the question, why didn't they? And it's, and why it's not only that question, but why are they not moving forward? Because I forget her name now, Amy.
It's Ann Sarnoff.
Ann Sarnoff, yeah. So she comes out in this big article, forget what, I think comicbook.com, and she's explaining why they're not moving forward with the Snyderverse. And I just don't understand. And I was watching a stream by Den of Nerds. They do a great job. And he was saying this might be the worst business mistake in 100 years. And that's no exaggeration. Avengers made $1 billion, whatever it made. That's what Zack Snyder's movies could absolutely undeniably do. Imagine a sequel to this movie, even on HBO Max, it would make them a ton of money. As we've seen by this, 65%, I think the number was, increase in subscriptions or something like that, or views on HBO Max when this thing came out. It's going to be an absolute moneymaker. It's guaranteed. You have fans of these movies. It's a whole thing. And she explains in her response, she says, we're excited to create our multiverse of movies. Why not Zack Snyder's multiverse then? You know what? What multiverse are you talking about? The CW or Titans universe or Doom Patrol? Is that the multiverse with TV shows, or are you talking about Zack Snyder? I don't think she is. They're not going forward with. They're not doing the Ayer cut, which I have no comprehension why they're not doing that either. Especially that other movie's so bad. You would think Warner Brothers want to get their reputation back by releasing better versions of bad movies and saying, you know what, this is what we had first, blah, blah, blah. But they don't want to look ignorant. They don't want to look bad. They want to sit there and be like, hey, we're the guys that make the decisions. We're going to release our own stuff that's better than Zack's. We're corporate people in lawsuits, and we're better directors than an actual director. That's what we're going to do. Warner Brothers is just dumb. It's the worst business decision, I don't know, about 100 years. I mean, we'd really have to dissect business to accurately say that, but it's a bad decision. You could do so much with this. Now you're losing Cyborg. I don't know what they're doing with Henry Cavill, but it looks like he's gone. There's been reports maybe Ben wants to come back for movies beyond The Flash. Great, but it's still not Zack Snyder's Batman anymore. So it's just a Debbie Downer, especially when you watch those final 15 to 20 minutes with all these teasers. You have Lex Luthor with Deathstroke. You have Batman and Joker, which amazing scene, by the way, in the Nightmare timeline. It redeemed Jared Leto in a lot of ways for me. He was great. But, you get the Martian Manhunter tease. It's just sad now because you watch it and you're like, well, we're never getting it. Probably not. Although there's some people that say, if some of these Zack Snyder fans, and obviously this is not everyone, but there's a portion of the Zack Snyder Justice League fandom, they're going and review bombing every other DC movie, Warner Brothers movie, in order to stick up. That's not how you do it. You just keep paying them. And honestly, simp for Warner Brothers. That's the simplest way to say it. We're not really doing that right now by calling their entire executive board idiots. But at the same time, I'm still going to pay for HBO Max. In hopes that they keep this. I'm going to watch it multiple times. I'm going to recommend it to everyone I know. And, it's just unfortunate because even if we do that, it doesn't look like they're going to change their minds. But yeah, I mean, that's honestly the Debbie Downer of the movie, that it's such an amazing tease, but we're never going to get it. And it makes now I can enjoy the first 3.5 hours, but it's honestly like that last half hour now for me is like, damn, like this is just honestly pointless.
Yeah, and I listen. I mentioned it when talking about the separate characters in the movie. Is that you want to see more now? I mean, Ray Fisher again, his character in the movie was just so thrown in there in the 2-hour version. And here, he again, like Zack Snyder said, he's clearly the heart of the movie. I want to see a solo Cyborg film. I want to see Cyborg in more movies now. But now it's looking like, again, it's not even him that doesn't want to do the character anymore. It's just now Warner Brothers. And again, they've really just kind of saturated that relationship. Same thing with Henry Cavill. We know that they're doing that kind of black Superman story, which is great and all. But again, they like you said, she mentioned a multiverse. It's not a multiverse if you don't have these if you don't have this universe. Again, like to me, they're trying to play catch up to Marvel. You can definitely tell it. But really, this is kind of what you need to do. You have something in place here that can make you money, that can give you HBO Max subscriptions, that can get tickets and get butts in the seats, and they're not doing it. And again, I just feel like that the timing of this article is so weird. And again, I'm not part of those Snyder Cut people that think that the Warner Brothers is always out to get Snyder, but they really haven't proved that they're not. They're not though, because they not only was it just a horrible time for him when making the movie, obviously when his daughter passed away, but afterwards, we get things like this where, like, the momentum of the movie and the popularity is so high. You're even getting fans that didn't like Snyder's movies to begin with. It got great reviews. Now you're putting out this article saying, like, yeah, we're done. You can enjoy a Peacemaker show because of James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
That you haven't even seen yet.
That we haven't even seen yet. I mean, we saw a trailer, which we'll talk about in a minute, but like, it's just it's kind of weird. And like you said, the dumbest business decision that done and Earth's in 100 years. And again, when it comes to comic book movies and that realm, to me, it's easily because again, we heard the reports that some Warner Bros. Executives called it a cul-de-sac, that this movie is not going to lead anywhere. But like Ray Fisher said, and I agree with him, this is an 8-lane super highway. The amount of things you can do with this. Joe Manganiello, who played Deathstroke, he was talking about the Ben Affleck Batman movie. It sounded amazing.
Yeah.
Everything connected. Justice League 2 and 3, the plans that were revealed of what he can do, it sounds great. The fact that they don't want to do it is just so baffling. And going back to that, again, the article is just so weirdly timed because it's like 3 days after the movie came out and people were so high on it, but we're like, yeah, no, you're not going to see more of it though. And I really hope this doesn't, I really hope this means that the one in 2017 is canon. Like it seems like that's kind of what it's leaning towards to, which to me is such a it's such a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Yeah.
It's so dumb because obviously Zack Snyder's Justice League, it got great reviews. It's getting a lot of streams, like you said, and it's just like, why would you want to go to the worst version of the movie as canon and not this one? To me, it just doesn't make any sense. And going back to that, obviously she said we're not doing a David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, which I mean, thanks for saying that. It really makes me happy. Obviously not. And just again talking about what this means for DC, saying like, fans need to be patient because maybe our stuff is pretty good. Listen, I'm excited to see Robert Pattinson's Batman movie, but like, you can do so much more with this universe. It's right there. You want something to compete with Marvel? It's right there. You just got to give him the keys. And Snyder says he's down to do it. He's been telling people on Vero. He says, listen, keep watching the movie. Obviously, I'm down with to do it, and obviously, we'll see about the actors, because the one thing that did kind of weird me out about the lead up to this movie, no actor besides Ray Fisher really was really promoting this. Gal Gadot kind of retweeted a trailer once, I think, but really didn't mention it.
Well, that's where I think it's Warner Brothers controlling them, because Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra, they're all Warner Brothers employees. They're in contracts for movies that are already planned out. They probably don't want, if they don't want that movie to be canon and they don't want to recognize it as being amazing, they're probably telling the actors, if you want, to keep doing your movies, don't promote this. It might be something like that. I mean, that's it. It's speculative, but it's that's the way Hollywood works. Studios don't want actors promoting things they don't want. They don't want them trashing things that they do want. So it goes both ways.
The one thing I did want to say, though, is, and you kind of mentioned a pretty good point there, because people always say that pretty much HBO Max and Warner Brothers are usually separate in their business. And obviously people have been like adding and retweeting, Jason Kilar, who's kind of the head of HBO Max, and they're saying that he should be the one to actually restore the Snyderverse, and not, people like Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada and those type of people. So, but again, like Jason Momoa, besides Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa was a huge outwardly supporter for releasing the Snyder Cut. I don't even think a word from him. I think when they released it, the one person who actually congratulated Snyder for the Snyder Cut was Henry Cavill the day it came out. I think the day before, that was a surprise to see. Which concerns me, because if you're saying that people who are not contracted with them can speak out,
Yeah.
maybe that means that Henry Cavill is not a part of it. I really, again, it's just amazing because a lot of people are praising this movie, especially praising the actors, and listen, Henry Cavill, Superman is a character that is the heart of DC. I mean, Batman is probably the most popular character, there's no question about that, but Superman is integral to the DC universe, and now you're not going to have a Superman again. I said that after Snyder Cut, we should be seeing a lot more clearly of what Warner Brothers is going to do. And I think we said before the Snyder Cut came out, if the Snyder Cut is incredibly popular, if it gets great reviews, there's no question that they're going to do more. It's insanely popular. It's getting great reviews. We were right on that point. But now they're doing nothing. And again, she said in that article, she said it was a Variety article saying, with that comes the completion of his trilogy. Okay, but
Yeah.
what does that mean? Are you gonna do more? Obviously, it seems like not. So,
Well, part of me's like, will they do a Batfleck series? Because I don't know. I mean, because that's not technically Snyder. It was always Affleck's thing. So I mean, maybe they might do that. Because
I hate to interrupt because we've been asking the DC fans and I've been asking for so long. Is like, what does Marvel do every year? They show their fans
right.
a slate of what's planned. Never have the last time we saw a slate for the DC universe, and I swear I think that this is true.
It's true.
Is when The Flash was supposed to come out in 2016, and we were supposed to get a Cyborg movie. Justice League 1 and 2 and 3 were already planned. It was on the slate. This was 2015, I feel, when this came out. 2014, maybe. It's 2021. There's no slate. It's just that, you're getting this movie. Then, you're getting Suicide Squad. You're getting Aquaman 2.
Yeah,
The
like
Flash,
they just announced Black Adam's date.
which again, I'm excited for. And James Gunn, I hate to agree with James Gunn, okay, but he's true. He was talking about Snyder fans and saying, we're not trying to cancel the other DC movies. We're
Right.
like, people like me. I mean, even though it doesn't look that great, I'm interested in seeing James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I'm interested in seeing Pattinson's Batman, Flash 2, The Flash, Aquaman 2. Yes, of course I'm interested, but you can make more money. We're begging you. We want to give you our money. Please take our money. Exactly. And you're not taking it. You're not taking our money. What is wrong with you? It's kind of funny. It's just kind of hilarious.
No, it really is. I mean, there's no common sense behind it other than ego. And that's really what it comes down to. It's about the ego and about these corporate execs. They don't want to get off their high horse. That's really what it is. And it's sad. It really is. So yeah, I guess we can talk about that Suicide Squad trailer. It doesn't hype me up really. I mean, everyone's like, oh, King Shark. And I'm like, okay, like I don't care, it just
hand.
Yeah.
That was a comedic genius.
Starfish or whatever too, or
so I'll just get rid of two things right now. When I saw the trailer and I was just like, okay, I can't wait to see it. Margot as Harley, she's great as a character. I would say that of all the DC live action characters so far, she's at the top of the list or close to it of being just so true to the character. She's great as Harley, and she looks good in this, no question about it. I'm excited to see more of her. Even though I am interested to see if they'll mention Birds of Prey at all. I don't know, for some reason, because that's in Snyder's Gotham, and if they're saying that Snyder's not going to do anything anymore, then I don't know.
Well, if Affleck wants to, if he's in the Flash movie, like what the and this making me think too, Michael Keaton might not be in the movie anymore. So if Affleck wants to do more, maybe he's just going to stay, and they won't do the Keaton thing at all.
Can I be honest with you? I kind of would rather have that personally for me, anyways.
Me too.
Because listen, I was not mad. I feel like everybody did like this. I'm not even so sure because that was a long time ago. When Michael Keaton was announced that he's coming back as Batman, I'm like, that's pretty interesting. I mean, we haven't seen him in a long time. He was a pretty good Batman. I'm excited to see it. Um, but this Flash movie has been just such a dumpster fire, production wise, because now you're not having Billy Crudup as Henry Allen, who was, by the way, in the scenes he was in, gave him more scenes. He was fantastic, and that relationship with Barry Allen was just so much more rich in Snyder's Justice League. And now it's going to be Ron Livingston, who, I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but I just wish you didn't have to recast him. You fire Ray Fisher, Cyborg, who was supposed to be in the movie, and now Michael Keaton's saying he might not do it. It's just so weird. I'm so incredibly excited for this movie because I love the Flash, but man, you're making me hard to look forward to it because of all of the backstage troubles that's happening with it. It's just weird. And so going back to Suicide Squad, though, I mean the two things that I enjoy were obviously Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, and I'll be honest, Starro being in the movie, that's I never would have thought Starro would ever be in a live action DC movie, and it's happening. That's pretty cool. But I saw so many people praise this trailer. They're saying James Gunn has done it
Yeah,
again.
like just stop. Yeah.
And again, to me, that just further proves it's just like there is a formula.
Trades. Right.
That and there is a formula. And it seems like, again, I was watching that trailer. I'm like, this is it just replaced the characters. This is Guardians 3.
I was thinking that too. Yep.
Because I mean, King Shark, he's Groot. It looks too similar to me. I mean, you see the camaraderie with these people that are not heroes, but they're not villains either. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, again, I hope I go in the movie and I leave the movie so happy. I'm like, yeah, that was really good, man. That was the first James Gunn movie I loved. Because I mean, the first Guardians I liked, and then the second one was whatever. Again, it just I hope the movie's good, but I left that movie trailer being like, hey, it looks okay, meh. That's kind of it. I can't wait to see Harley Quinn because she's great and she's gorgeous, and I can't wait to see it. But like other than that, it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, 100%. You know, we're both at the meh level, and it's the only DC movie we're getting for the rest of the year. No shows this year. Actually, we're getting Titan season 3 and Doom Patrol season 3 this year, but that's it. I don't know if you know, most people don't even watch those. So I mean, I watch both just because you know they're DC and I watch. But those are coming out this year. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they don't like release a slate. Like they tell you dates for stuff, but they don't tell you what connects with what. And by the way, going back to Henry being employed or not, I told you this with what they do at CW. If there's a character on CW, they don't do it in the movie. If there's a character in the movies and they don't do it in the CW, they've never been able to do Aquaman or Wonder Woman on the TV shows. They had Superman, but only in cameo episodes, so it wasn't a big deal. And by the way, he debuted after Justice League. So he, you know, still, he was the only live action Superman active, I guess you could say at the time. Supergirl just now, she's going to be in the Flash movie, supposedly. She's already been cast. This is the last season of Supergirl on the CW. So it seems like there's a pattern with if we're using them on TV, they're not going to be in the movies. And if the only Clark Kent we're getting, and I like the Superman and Lois show, it's good, it's okay, it's highly produced. It ain't the movies, man. It's not the movie. It's good CGI. I'm shocked, but like you get to like some of the plot points, it's like this is a TV show and this is CW, and sometimes Tyler Hoechlin is pretty cringe. I'm not gonna lie. He's a little too giddy. I don't like it.
I gotta be honest. I'm not even joking, but you just reminded me that there is a Superman and Lois show on that's active right now. I saw the first 2 episodes. Okay, the pilot episode I actually enjoyed. Besides him saying that his suit was made from his mom, which I've heard that like 10,000 times in a comic book. So whatever. And I'll be honest, like that pilot episode did make me like Tyler a lot as Superman, but after that second episode, I was just like, I really don't know if I want to watch this because it's just not that great, and maybe it makes me even more like consciously like in me, I'm just thinking, oh man, this is a Superman that I have to watch, not literally the best Superman that's been on screen. You know, in my opinion, obviously Christopher Reeve is great, but Henry Cavill he is Superman, and I think Snyder's Justice League, the scenes he was in, he was just absolutely great. So yeah, it's just I really hope that theory is actually kind of interesting though with the whole CW because it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think there's a reason why we haven't seen Batman,
Right.
disappear. And I feel
And,
like
and by the way, the Arrow, now that it's over, now you're starting to hear rumors. Oh, Green Arrow might be in. I forget what movie they said now. Yeah, he said they rumored him for an upcoming movie. They were like, Green Arrow could be in an upcoming movie. That Oliver Queen's gone on the CW. That's why they can do it. So it kind of makes sense.
that's true. And even with Black Canary, I guess when that show ended, then we really got to see Birds of Prey and we got to see Black
Right.
Canary more. So I mean, yeah. Listen, it just again like I know we kind of got off, excuse me, the Snyder Cut a little bit, but again, it's just like there's just so much money to be made there, you know. And I don't know if you wanted to talk about how it compares to like I know there's this you on the Nerd Pod you replied to a person that said like that the Snyder's Justice League was better than every Avengers movie. And I seen that all on I seen multiple tweets saying that on Twitter, even from like professional critics even. So I didn't want to touch on that. Well, you could start first because I mean obviously you're I guess between the two of us you're the Marvel guy, right? So I mean. Did you like it better than all the Avengers movies? Is my question for you.
No, I didn't. I liked it better than Age of Ultron and the first one, of course. Those aren't really great movies, to be honest. Age of Ultron's good. It's better than people think. It is a Joss Whedon movie, though, and I just rewatched it the other day. I forgot that he had the same type of thing with Barry and Wonder Woman, and then Hulk, and it's the same
Yep.
scene.
Literally,
Like it's not funny after 5 times. So, well, it's not funny at all, really. But anyway. Infinity War and Endgame, I think, are better than Zack Snyder's Justice League. Close between Endgame and Infinity War, but here's the reason why. I actually just talked to my dad this morning. He just saw the movie Zack Snyder's Justice League. He doesn't follow DC. He was like, I didn't really get why Darkseid forgot where the anti-life equation is. That seems kind of stupid. And I was like, well, in the comics, that's kind of his thing. He's a god, so he's lived so long that he just forgets over long periods of time. He goes so many not Earths, but worlds, and destroys them. So it's just he forgets. And my dad's like, that's not really set up that well. And then he was like, who's that girl that Barry was trying to save? Again, they never even said that was Iris. There were a few other plot points that he didn't like that were about like things that could have been set up in other movies in terms of lore, which is what I think Marvel does better than anyone, is they explain the lore through all these movies, and you understand all the characters so well just from watching their movies. And I feel like if you had gotten more context and setup, and again, for people like us, we know what Darkseid is for the most part. I didn't, honestly, until after I knew more about him when I asked you. But I still had an idea. I knew the stuff that Snyder was setting up. By the way, they also didn't know what Joker meant by the step son, who I had to tell them that he was referring to Robin and killing Robin, so they didn't get that either. But in Marvel, you do get that because it's set up blatantly for normies. Whereas if you blink and you miss it in BVS, you don't see the Batman suit that says "haha, joke's on you," and if you did see it, you might not even get it. So it's stuff like that, to where in Marvel movies you get to Infinity War and Endgame, you understand the entire universe so well through the lore that's explained through all these solo movies and trilogies. Whereas in Justice League, it's just like, here's a scene explaining it, and that's it. And you're supposed to understand fully what his intentions are. Meanwhile, with Thanos, you see his intentions from the first Avengers movie, sending Loki. You see the Tesseract in Captain America. You see the Ether in Thor: The Dark World, even though it's not a good movie. You see one of the Infinity Stones in the first Guardians movie. You see Thanos himself in the first Guardians movie. Then you get this whole entire character development for him in Infinity War, which makes his Endgame collapse even bigger. So there's that Darkseid. He's in a few scenes, and I get what my dad's saying, kind of like, how did he just forget the anti-life equation was on Earth? Like, that seems kind of dumb. Honestly, it is kind of dumb. Like, in a way, it is kind of dumb that he wouldn't remember. I get the explanation for it, but it's those little tiny things where, and again, I'm not blaming Snyder for this. He wasn't given the time. So you can't fault him for something that he wasn't given the chance to do. But that's where it differs for me, where you get story and lore and context before moments in other movies in Marvel, where you don't get that in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's just a small thing, but that's why. And I also think pacing is better in Infinity War. I think they have more characters in it, which I think is cooler. Like you said, I'm probably more Marvel out of the two of us. So to see all those characters, and that's a big influencer as well. Just to be honest, I mean, it's just an opinion. I like Marvel characters a little bit better than I do DC. I think DC characters are more powerful. They're cooler in some ways, but like Marvel set up these other characters that I really liked from other movies. It was just cool to see them all in one movie. So that's just my opinion as to why it's just a little bit better, the other two Avengers movies. And yeah.
So before I talk about the comparison with the Avengers movies, the explanation for the anti-life whole thing and stuff like that is that there wasn't an anti-life equation until he lost. That's just kind of my explanation for it.
Okay.
Because obviously the reason why it's at Earth is because he lost there.
But then again, why wouldn't he remember the planet he lost on?
Again, I mean, he said he's ruled over 100,000 worlds. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing where it's like, you couldn't remember.
Really? Like you didn't write it down, like where you lost, or
you didn't write it down.
That's where you're like, you're a god, dude. Like, how'd you not figure it out?
Yeah, but
it's just comics. Like that's what I told my dad.
Yeah.
That's just the comics.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, it's
honestly, sorry, but the same thing you could ask. Why didn't Thanos get the Infinity Stones if he's a Titan? He's lived all these years. Right. How did he not get them from other situations? It's the same thing.
Yeah, and like obviously the answer to that is just kind of like, because obviously when people look really into it, like that much into it, the answer you always have to give them is just like, it's comic books, dude. You know what I'm saying? Which I mean, like again, it's just like, which is why I appreciate what Marvel did with Thanos and what DC did with Darkseid, with trying to make him that much more complex, trying to explain everything and make him look cool. But then you can't really think that much more about it because you get questions like that.
It's suspension of disbelief, really, at the end of the day.
There you go. Which is the thing, right? Because obviously, I mean, I'm not even like faulting your dad because obviously people have asked way worse questions than that. That's actually a valid question to a thing because obviously people ask more questions to DC when like in Marvel, there's like other questions you can ask that people don't. But going back to the whole comparison of the Avengers thing, I agree it's better than the first two. I actually really like the first Avengers movie. Besides Joss Whedon directing it, I just think that's like the first time we saw these. I mean,
it's good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's just not as good as the other three, I would say.
It's definitely. I mean, do you like Age of Ultron?
I do like it better. I just watched it the other day. I think it's cool having watched WandaVision, seeing the creation of Vision again, Wanda's backstory, Pietro, all that. So like, I thought that was cool on retrospect, and I did think some of the scenes were funny. Like I love the Thor hammer scene where everyone tries to lift it, and you get the Captain America moment that gets paid off in Endgame where Thor goes like, "Oh shit, you almost picked up my hammer," but. But those are the moments like where you wouldn't care about it as much, because the humor like it's forced, in a way. But
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Like that kind of stuff is good for me. I actually really enjoyed that scene. That's actually one of the few scenes I think I enjoyed in the movie. But again, just stuff like that is fine. It's more so like when you see Mark Ruffalo fall on Black Widow's breast. That's the type of humor I don't like. But again, I just found that movie to be convoluted with, and again, like what you said with Infinity War is why to me it's so much better than Age of Ultron is because they handle the amount of characters in that movie way more. In Age of Ultron. So that's why I didn't like it. So I definitely like the first Avengers movie.
And honestly, it's the Russo vision too. It feels like Winter Soldier, feels like Civil War, where that was their first crack at it. Where they got to deal with that many characters. It's like it almost felt like the Russo part of the MCU.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, to me, I feel like the Russo brothers, they have a really good working relationship with Kevin Feige because obviously with Age of Ultron, you did hear that Kevin Feige and Joss Whedon actually had some creative differences and stuff like that. Right. So I mean, with the Russo brothers, it was kind of just like it was a perfect fit there. But when it came to Zack Snyder's Justice League, I definitely think it's way better than the first two. I think it's better than Endgame is because, I mean, Jacob, you've heard of it too, and other people who know my opinions on Endgame as well. It's just, there's a lot of character work in that movie that is to me, just does not work at all. Dealing with Thor, dealing with Hulk, and again, the amount of like, a lot of fan service, they try to put in a lot of fan service over actual story in Endgame. Which to me, why I didn't like it as much, but still, I still think Endgame is an entertaining movie.
Wait, what did you not like about the Hulk stuff?
I just think Professor Hulk is stupid.
I mean, Yes, but I mean, yeah. I mean, you have a point. You do. I
Well,
mean, you do.
my dad, who is more of a DC guy, actually liked the Professor Hulk stuff because he remember when he used to, like a little bit read Marvel stuff, and he read Professor Hulk when that was a thing. So I mean,
Right, that's what I was going to say. For comic book geeks, like that
well,
was
that's what
cool
I'm
for them.
saying, right?
Yeah.
Is that the fan service was a lot in Endgame, which I mean, like honestly, I can't even doubt it because it is that finale, and you want to have as much like crowd pleasing moments as possible, which I definitely understand.
Like that's what I mean. Like that's the point of that movie. It's for
Yeah,
every payoff to be paid off.
absolutely. But just watching Thor like play Fortnite, it's
I
just
mean, yeah,
like
that was yeah. Like the Fat Thor stuff was dumb. Yeah. I mean, there's bad parts.
yeah, and I just felt like that was definitely more Feige because I feel like in Infinity War, and I'll get to Infinity War. I think Infinity War it's my favorite Marvel movie. It's my favorite MCU movie. I think it is my favorite Marvel movie because I like a lot of the X-Men ones, but it's definitely a top tier Marvel movie. And I said this last time, and I'll say it again. I do think that Zack Snyder's Justice League is better than the first two and Endgame. When it comes to Infinity War, they're on the same level for me just because, again, both of those movies have that sense of urgency and the amount of stakes. Like, again, like, in the end of Justice League, when Flash did not make it, and he didn't make it, and like the world was about to eviscerate it because of the unity with the mother boxes, which is a great scene. Just seeing the cyborg's vision of what could happen. Wonder Woman was dead. You saw her in her own funeral. I was like, oh my god! You see
Yeah.
Darkseid controlling Superman because Lois Lane died. You see all this stuff again. Why did they cut it? We asked that question already. But again, just going out to the end and seeing that whole Flash scene where he's turning back time, he's recreating what happened. How can you take that out?
No,
That makes me so much more excited. What we saw from the Flash in the other movie, the best thing he did was push a truck of that Russian family. Dostoevsky, he said at the end, this one he goes back in time. He's
yeah,
it's just amazing. And the
yeah.
score, that's when that's track there was just absolutely fantastic. So the sense of urgency is there. I'm like, are we about to get the nightmare sequence right now? It's there. It has heart. Infinity War has the same exact thing. In fact, at the end, it didn't end well for the heroes because half of the planet was dead or just the blip. They eviscerated. But literally, I told you this last time. The reason why I prefer Zack Snyder Justice League to Infinity War, DC characters. I prefer DC. That's
Yeah.
literally it. Again, it was the Justice League movie that I've always wanted, and Zack Snyder did it, and that's the only reason why I'll put it over. Definitely put it over Infinity War. So, but it is crazy to see a lot of critics, even professional critics, like non-Snyder people, say that it is better than the Avengers movies. I'm just like, hey, I agree with you, but I'm surprised to see more of that. And the last thing I will say, if you want to end this or just keep going with it, is that Man of Steel and BVS were clearly the deconstruction of these heroes. Justice League is just the reconstruction, and it was the plan all along. As much as people are like, why didn't you do this from the beginning? It was the plan all along. The fact that you couldn't give it a chance is disappointing. But again, to me, definitely my personal favorite superhero trilogy because every movie hits.
I will say that it is the best trilogy of movies. That there's no doubt about that. I don't like. There's nothing in the MCU trilogy wise that really. I mean, Captain America is good. I mean, Dark Knight trilogy is really good, but the first one kind of lags. The second one's my favorite movie ever. The third one has its problems. The original Toby trilogy, no, because Spider-Man 3 ruins it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if I could
Yeah.
touch on, I would say that because with the Dark Knight trilogy, I love Batman Begins. I definitely not on the
It's a
level.
great movie. Yeah.
It's great. Definitely not on the levels of Dark Knight because that just reaches. But I definitely love that. I just don't really like the Dark Knight Rises that much, which is why it's like not great with trilogy level. I would say that Captain America definitely reaches it. I am a big fan of that first Captain America movie. Winter Soldier is great, and then Civil War, obviously the third one, so that's probably at the top there. Other ones, definitely not Thor.
Yeah.
The
No.
first, people know
You
my.
probably don't like all three of them.
It's funny because I guess that's a hot take. I don't hate the first one. It's okay. Second one is just garbage, and three is just overrated. And obviously, I'm not even gonna say my thoughts on Ragnarok. I've said too much
Yeah.
on this show about it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not Spider-Man, like you said. X-Men,
No.
X-Men 1 was good. X-Men 2 was great. X-Men 3 was the worst X-Men movie ever.
Dark Phoenix is worse. Dark Phoenix is worse.
I have to disagree, man. Because at least
Really?
Dark Phoenix had Hans Zimmer's score. That's literally it. That's literally it.
And better CGI. Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally it. I'm looking at my superhero movies right now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Like, is that really it?
Yeah, I know. Like in terms of trilogy, wow.
I guess we'll see with Ant-Man, right? They're doing Ant-Man 3, right?
Yeah, no, that's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania is what they're calling that.
Okay, so hopefully, I mean, even
They're
the first
saying
movie.
that they're saying it's basically going to be like Star Wars.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
in,
I
I
don't.
guess.
Yeah, because Peyton Reed's directing and he did the Mando episode with Luke, so I mean, he actually has experience on Star Wars now. But I feel like they're saying that because they're going to be in the quantum verse, and we've already seen the picture of that little city in the. I guarantee you, they might be in that microverse the entire movie, and it might just be like all those cities, but I don't even know what's down there, but it
That's
could
kind of
just be
cool.
wars down there. I mean, who knows?
That sounds kind of cool. I can't lie. That sounds actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
I didn't hate the first Ant-Man. I actually quite enjoyed it. The second one's just kind of just just a generic action movie in my opinion.
yeah,
Um, but the third one that'll be a cool idea. Hopefully, it doesn't become like an Edgar Wright thing where it's like he has so many great ideas and then they're like, nah, let's just do
yeah.
different. Um, yeah, I guess that really is it. Oh, the Superman, but Superman 3 is not good at all.
No,
Well,
no.
there is 4 movies there, so I guess that
Yeah.
doesn't count. So, um, yeah, that's it. I guess. Damn. Yeah.
Holy
No,
crap.
again, to me, it's my favorite trilogy.
It is,
Easily.
I think we can agree on that at least. Yeah. I mean, watching those three in a row, it's a good three movies to watch in a row. So, but
Long though, but you know,
yeah,
literally, I mean, because I only watch the ultimate cut of BVS nowadays because it's just better.
yeah, that's the only one you can watch.
So 9.5 hours of amazing film, in my opinion.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's great stuff. Again, if you're not a Snyder fan, you're kind of hesitant, you're on the fence of it, give it a try. Because again, I've seen Snyder fans be like, I don't really like Snyder, but this was damn good, and I see a lot of people kind of going out for it. Oh, I want to hear you talk about, because you mentioned this last time as being maybe annoyed you a little bit, was the aspect ratio. Did that annoy you?
Not as much the second time. Not really. I kind of was just like, just watch the movie, I don't know. It was just the first time around. I was like, and then knowing what was coming almost made it better. I don't know how to say that, but no. I mean, it didn't really bother me the second time. Like, it didn't even really bother me the first time. It was just me sitting there like, I wish it was the other way. Which I hope they do release a version like that eventually, but they probably will. But anyway, so we got the first two Falcon and the Winter Soldier episodes to talk about. Um, I don't know. I mean, the first one was kind of just a basic pilot, set everything up, where's everyone at type of thing. Second episode took a step up, introducing John Walker, U.S. agent. We don't even know his intentions. You don't really know whether to like him, whether to not like him. I don't really like him, but you don't really know. You're not supposed to know. Although I think based on leaks and stuff, he's bad, but it's from the government. Falcon knows he's been taken. Bucky comes in. He's like, dude, why'd you do that? Blah, blah, blah. They get into a fight. It's pretty good. The biggest thing, though, is the introduction of Isaiah Bradley and a Patriot. And Patriot is probably going to be a young Avenger, almost guaranteed, because they're trying to introduce a young Avenger in each Disney Plus show. You got Wiccan and Speed in WandaVision. You get Patriot in this one. And as you keep going, the Hawkeye show with Kate Bishop, she'll be a young Avenger. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium, their daughter, young Avenger. So Ironheart, another one. Miss Marvel. So like all these shows are giving you who the young Avengers are going to be. I've even heard rumors Miles Morales, Spider-Man might be a young Avenger. That would be actually a really good roster if they decided to do that. But anyway, those are two big characters to introduce, especially in the context that, the government didn't even release who Isaiah Bradley was, which, starts those conversations. But I really liked it. It raised the stakes. But now this episode's the halfway point. So they really have to, I don't know about step it up, but give me a big tease. Have Baron Zemo do something, have a big character introduced, not another kind of just 50 minutes it's over and it's like I'm more excited for next week than I was watching for this one type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a good point. And that's the one thing I thought that this season was going to be like 9, 10 episodes until you told me it was only 6.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh. I mean, because that first episode really didn't give you that much. Again, it was like the introduction episode. When we did our first kind of run through with this, I said the first episode was fine. Again, I just saw so many raving reviews for it. I'm like, oh my god, am I about to be blown away by this first episode? I wasn't. But I thought the second episode was much better. And like you kind of just took the words right out of my mouth. I love that introduction of Isaiah Bradley. That whole scene was very compelling. Hearing the backstory of what he is, like one of the first, but like how they like tested African Americans for this to get their super soldier serum. I just think that's just compelling stuff, especially how they can continue that in the future of the show and just in MCU in general. Um, but and I will say that the opening scene with John Walker, they do a really good job of kind of towing the line. Is like, are you supposed to like this guy? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Because that opening, I'm like, I was thinking about, I think that's interesting seeing how someone with the pressure of taking up the Captain America mantle, that's probably the hugest thing you can take up, is that mantle of Captain America. And they handle that pretty well. But then I was wondering, like, why are I can understand why Bucky and Sam are so like you're kind of assholes to him. But then you realize, like, yeah, like maybe the fame is kind of getting him to a little bit because he's, there's a scene where like he like released Bucky from like whether like prison because he didn't show up to his medical like therapist or whatever, and he was just like he was acting kind of like a famous douchebag sort of thing, and I was just like, okay, that's interesting. You don't know if you're supposed to like the guy or not, and I think I heard a report that actor actually auditioned to play Captain America, but Chris Evans won over him.
Yeah,
So
he did.
yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I understood because literally that first shot, he looked like the guy from Up. We were saying that last episode. But he's good. So I'm actually he's one of the more interesting parts of the show. But yeah, again, more interesting parts compared to the first episode. Because in the first episode, like I kind of like that relationship between Sam and his sister and the family business. That was pretty cool. The whole therapist stuff with Bucky was interesting, but again, the show is called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. When they're together, seeing the chemistry and the camaraderie between the two guys.
Yo, just one second. Yeah, sorry guys, I had someone knock on my door for a quick second, but keep going, Zach.
No, I was saying that the show is called Falcon and the Winter Soldier for a reason, and just seeing them kind of apart in the first episode was a little kind of a little bit boring, but seeing them together, seeing the chemistry, the camaraderie between the two guys, it was some good stuff, except for that one line where he called Bucky White Panther. And I was like, it was a little cringy, but other than that,
that's the forced humor you talk about. Like you're supposed to be like, haha, it's not that funny.
Yeah, but I there is organic humor when those two kind of goof around. Like
Absolutely.
I thought the ending scene when they're in the therapist, they're like touching each other with their legs. I thought that scene was funny. It's just you see more. You need more like that, and just like these quippy one-liners, like it's an '80s action movie. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
But again, like you said, like they're going to see Zemo now. That should be great. I didn't love his character in Civil War, but I think the actor's great, and I think they can do so much more with that character. So I'm excited to see that. Whether, like you said, they tease like a big character coming in, but again, I'm not trying to have these expectations like people had for WandaVision. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you want to hear the big one?
What?
Wolverine's coming.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. No way.
I really hope people are not expecting it because I doubt it's going to happen.
I don't. There's no way, dude. You don't introduce Wolverine on Disney Plus show, and if you do, it's got to be like the best. If you do, honestly, he can't be Wolverine yet, or like he's got to be just Logan or something like that. That because you can't do Wolverine until a movie because that's a movie moment.
Yeah, completely agree. Or they can have like Hugh Jackman make a cameo, and then at the end, his name is like Mike Testicles or something. It's just spelled differently.
Yeah, he's Ralph Boner's brother.
Yeah. That was I still can't get over that. Was the reveal. But I'm excited so far. I will say the second episode definitely took a major step up because I thought the first episode was like, it was okay. Second episode was pretty good. So I'm excited to see where the show goes. And like you said, you have 4 more episodes. You have to keep it going. You can't just kind of have like, and that was actually a great analogy you said, like, because with WandaVision, it's just like every episode, I'm like, oh, I wonder who this big character reveal is going to be at the end. Like you don't want to go ahead and wait for the next week's episode when you're still watching this week's episode. You got to make it interesting, So if they do that, I think they'll be fine. I think they're on a good path. Hopefully, it doesn't fall apart, kind of like how WandaVision did with that last episode. But hopefully,
Yeah. Also, Marvel shifted two of their movies a little bit up, or not up, but further back. So Black Widow. Let me look at the exact date here.
which is going to be on. You said it's going to be like an HBO Max thing, right? Where it's going to be on Disney Plus at the same time as theaters, or
It's a little bit different. So it's going to be July 9th. It comes out on theaters, but on Disney Plus, not normal Disney Plus, but Disney Plus Premier Access. So it's like Mulan, where you might have to pay $30 extra to watch the movie. So it's totally Disney to do it that way, but I don't know why they had to delay it to do that. I really don't understand that at all. Maybe they're thinking 4th of July weekend, everyone's out, they go to the movies after to chill out. I don't know. But yeah, that was delayed. Shang Chi as a result. And everyone says Shang Chi. It's Shang Chi. Kevin Feige said Shang Chi at the presentation. So everyone usually says Shang because it's spelled that way. But it's September 3rd. That's coming out. Venom as well. Venom 2 delayed till September 17th. But that's Sony. So they did that on their own. And then, yeah, everything else is the same. But the big thing, yeah, so we're getting Loki June 11th, but no Marvel movies for over 2 years. Once Black Widow comes out, it's a long time, but at least they're giving us this Disney Plus stuff in the meantime. But still, not even hyped for Black Widow. That's why I'm like, why are you delaying it again? I just want to get to Shang-Chi. But hey, it looks like that's going to be the final date.
right. I mean, I'm not paying $30 extra. That's for sure.
No,
So
I'm going to the theater.
yeah, I mean, even with these superhero movies, I was always going to go to the theater. Already, like if Snyder's Justice League came out in the theaters at the same time, I would easily watch it in the theaters. So I wouldn't have to cough up 30 extra. So I mean, again, I'm on the same boat as you. We said it before. It's just like it looks okay. It looks like a standard Marvel movie. Hopefully I'm wrong. And it's really good. It just doesn't look that great. Shang-Chi, I've been saying Shang-Chi, so thanks for telling me that. So Shang-Chi, yeah, I mean, it definitely has a more interesting plot than what Black Widow is. So I'm definitely excited to see that. And
See, like that's a movie where I think Wolverine could totally show up because they're doing the contest. It's like a forget what they call it. It's something in the comics, but they're all in a competition, and there's tons of characters being like Ghost Rider, Luke Cage. That's might be where Iron Fist shows up, and all these characters are supposed to fight in a big tournament. Oh, that's what it's called. I think Tournament of Champions. And there might be mutants and stuff that are introduced there. So, I mean, what better way to introduce Wolverine than to have him in Contest of Champions just killing shit?
That would be cool, actually. Yeah, and you said that because of this the Black Widow thing, there wouldn't have been a Marvel movie for 2 years.
Yeah, because the last one was Far From Home.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that sucks, man. 2 years of peace, and now I have to Black Widow and stuff like that. No, I'm kidding. Listen, listen, like I said before, obviously, every time I'm in the theater and I either see a DC or Marvel logo, I get excited. So whether even if it is Suicide Squad and Black Widow, but again, hopefully those movies are good, and we have Spider-Man later December still.
Yeah. So it goes. Excuse me. Loki June 11th. That'll go for 6 weeks. So the 5th episode of Loki out of 6 will air on the same day Black Widow comes out. So it's like you can watch the episode and then go to the movies. Then What If, that animated show, also in the summer. Then Hawkeye is going to be at around the same time as Shang-Chi. So that'll air on Disney Plus probably right as Shang-Chi is coming out. Then Venom September 17th. Eternals November 5th. Where you'll get Miss Marvel coming in between that and Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man No Way Home. That'll be December 17th. And then She-Hulk is coming out probably January of 22 along with Morbius in January. And then it goes Doctor Strange March 22, Thor May of 22. So it's once you start getting the movies, it keeps coming.
Morbius. I forgot about Morbius. That was
who cares, honestly?
And you said it's coming out in January, you said?
Yeah, January 22, right after Spider-Man.
So it's going to be probably shit because obviously January is literally where all the bad movies come out. That I can't, I hate when studios do that. Like they're telegraphing that shit. So they just put it in
Yeah.
January.
I mean, it was March both other times, though. Is that a shit month?
March, no, which is why it's like, you should have just kept it there. Again, I mean, obviously with COVID and everything that happened, they have to finish it, but, at least put it in February. I mean, Jesus. But, I mean, again, like you said, I mean, we're pretty much kind of getting back into that groove of getting all the Marvel, DC stuff, and we should be getting some Star Wars stuff too, I guess. So, again, we still, it took a hiatus because of COVID and stuff like that, but we still live in the golden age of this stuff, and it's great to see. I'm literally gonna be watching Snyder Cut like 10 other times, so it'll be great to see. Also,
You got to watch the Gray Edition once and tell me if there's new stuff.
Was just about to say I need to. My next probably watch that's gonna be in the Justice's Gray version, which I heard there's like alternate scenes in there, so we'll see. But from what I've seen, it looks great in black and white, so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was I about to say? Totally forgot. Totally blanked on that one. Oh yeah. So yeah, you're getting one more DC movie for the year, 4 more Marvel, bunch of Disney Plus shows, and you mentioned Star Wars. Bad Batch May 4th will come out. I think there's a week in between Falcon and Bad Batch. Bad Batch is basically season 8 of Clone Wars for anyone who's into that stuff. I'll be watching. It looks good. And it seems like, honestly, Star Wars and Marvel are coordinating their release dates on Disney Plus, where you get like a week in between everything. So it's almost like if you're not getting Marvel, there is something for Star Wars too, because the Book of Boba Fett, I did the math one time on how they could do it and give each other breaks. And it looks like Book of Boba is going to come right after Miss Marvel ends in like the end of December. So they line it up pretty well, where almost every week for the rest of the year, there's going to be something on Disney Plus. So it's going to be a good end of the year. 2022 is going to be that on steroids, though, because it's going to be that for 12 months. I don't even want to get into it because it's that crazy. We just got this stuff over the next few months. I'm just getting over fucking explaining to my father the timelines and Justice League. So, getting everyone to understand other shit is going to be a haul. So it's going to be fun, though, for us, and we can't wait till this stuff comes out. So
one last thing,
okay,
because obviously we were talking about a quick little thing, just Warner Brothers, like just restore the Snyderverse. That's it.
Hashtag
restore the Snyderverse. And don't, by the way, I guess since you just reminded me, like I don't know if it's bots, but like I see like the whole thing that's happening with Asian Americans and the whole tragedies that are happening there, and Warner Brothers putting out some Asian, like stop Asian hate stuff, and then you look in the comments and you see like restore the Snyderverse. Just don't do that. Don't be an asshole. Yeah. Like literally any other post. Again, keep your HBO Max subscription. Keep watching the Snyder Cut, because I mean maybe they'll listen. They said we were never going to get a Snyder Cut. We did. So we can change their minds hopefully. Yeah, hashtag restore the Snyderverse. And just be have common sense, will you? That's all I gotta say.
Faith, Zach. Faith.
That's a great way to end it. That's great. Yep.
There we go. That's it. I'm not even gonna plug anything. Actually, I am. Go follow us on Twitter at the Nerd Pod 2. You can listen to us. We're not doing YouTube this time, but it's going to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow Zach on Twitter. You can say it right now.
At Zack Weinberger, Zach with an H, WEINBRGER.
There we go. All right. So we will see you next time, and probably just be a Falcon the Winter Soldier review. We'll see you guys.